Hello, I'm ABXToyCat and welcome back to another video. My favourite feature in TU25 was the customized superflats they introduced to the game. It allowed for so much creativity to be had and a lot of fun to be done in both survival and creative. So as a result of this, when TU31 came out, one of the first things I checked for was if they introduced customized worlds. Unfortunately they did not, but what they did as kind of a consolation is a bunch of new customized superflat options. I'm going to be talking about what all of those options are in today's video, and I'm also going to be talking about some of the fun ways you can use them with two really cool presets I think you will all enjoy. So if you do like the video, please do like it and let me know. It helps out the channel a lot and lets me know you do like this particular video, but let's get straight into it already, shall we? So let's start by talking about one of the new things they did, which is all of the new blocks they added. So basically the blocks you can actually make your world out of has increased from 3 scrolls worth of blocks, and not even 3 full ones, to 4 and a bit. And the new blocks, in case you are wondering, it took me a while to spot them all, are the all the prismarine based ones and the sea lantern. We've got the packed ice, we've got the slime block, and then there's obviously we've got the coarse dirt, the podzol, and for some reason it took me a very long time to realize that we have the granite, the polished granite, the andesite, the polished andesite, all this sort of stuff, as well as the red sand based blocks. And honestly, most of these blocks aren't too useful. Like slimes are pretty cool, packed ice is pretty cool, but having red sandstone isn't really too useful unless you're going for a mesa biome perhaps, which is, by the way, one of the other things you can do in the biome selection. So yeah, we've got 4 new biomes added here and 1 biome removed for some reason. We've got the savanna biome, we've got the mesa biome, we've got the roof forest biome, and we've got the redwood tiger biome. I don't know why it's only 4 new biomes. There are other ones they could have added, but that's all they decided to do for now. And interesting enough, this means the ice ocean removed, and also the deep ocean is removed, which means there should be no way to find the ocean monument, one of the other new settings that I missed at first, because I was like, oh yeah, there's nothing here. But if you scroll down, you will find the ocean monument, which has a very bizarre spacing thing that, it took me a while to understand, because I was like, okay, there's percentage and there's a number, but if you actually read on the right there, it says it's a percentage of that number. So in theory, if you set both values to minimum, you should be able to find an ocean monument every 70 blocks or so. Unfortunately, this is a minimum, this isn't a requirement, and it means that even if you set it to the bare minimum, which could, fit like hundreds of ocean monuments in your one world, unfortunately there is a still minimum spacing the game has that's higher than this for some reason, and it means that even with the best seed possible, you're still going to find like 4 ocean monuments in a world, tops, which is kind of a shame to me, but that's something you need to bear in mind. So I'd always recommend setting this to minimum, because there's always a minimum in the game anyway, and there's no point limiting it beyond that. And yeah, that's what you might want to do. Set the spacing to minimum, because this is about 72 blocks between each one, and that's kind of cool like that. So yeah, that's the ocean monument. Besides that, there's nothing new here. You might want to have decorations on, but there's nothing new that's actually new on these settings. You can make new settings from previous worlds, but that's that right there. So let's start talking about the first fun super. Oh, also actually one interesting little thing that hints as to how they develop things. So the ocean monument can only generate in the deep ocean and the like the icy ocean, and it actually will reference that when you leave the world. It says there's no frozen ocean thing, but there actually isn't a frozen ocean for you to pick. So they clearly added in the ocean monument before they removed the frozen ocean, and I wish they just add it back, because I know they removed it from the PC like as a proper biome, but I still like to see it as a custom superflat on the console, because it was a cool little console exclusive in my opinion, and it's a shame that they removed it. But yeah, let's start talking about the first really fun superflat, because it involves oceans, it involves ocean monuments, and it involves a really interesting survival challenge, because I don't know what you want to call this, but it is really cool, because basically if you just have one layer of water and one layer of something else below the water, the thing about ocean monuments is they'll generate at the exact same layer regardless of how high the water is. So because they're meant to generate below the ocean, they'll generate at like y = 40, but even if that's 37 blocks above where we are, it gives you this really cool thing. So let's turn on a bonus chest, let's disable autosave, and let's show you what I'm talking about, because you might be like, what are you even trying to say there? So yeah, let's hop into a world and let's show you what I mean by that. So basically this is a really fun challenge if you turn on the bonus chest, because trying to take down an ocean monument in these circumstances is so different to something you'd normally do, because in this world you can see it's kind of like a post-apocalyptic world. There's nothing left besides a big ocean and some red sand, and there should be a bonus chest, but there just isn't. But yeah, basically, yeah, it's a post-apocalyptic world. There's nothing left, and you just gotta swim through the ocean. Or maybe if you can make that easy for yourself, you can fly like myself. And basically, yeah, whenever you find an ocean monument, which we'll be able to find if we just fly around for long enough, it's a very, very interesting experience for reasons that you'll see when we get there. I kind of, referenced it earlier, but if we can just find an ocean one, which, by the way, like I said, we got this set to minimum, where there should be 70 blocks between each one, but because the game has, like, its own little setting where it's like, I know you set it to this, but I'm just going to ignore that, it means you end up with something like this. So, we're going to keep on looking until we find it, and then we'll eventually just be like, there's an ocean monument, which I hope there's at least one in the world. If there's not, it really shows just how broken the thing can be. There we go, we finally got one. So, yeah, as you can see, this is the most astounding thing to look at, because you're used to seeing an ocean monument from all the way, like, up here, like in a perspective looking down at it, but to see it from below, and see it looking so magnificent, floating in the air like that, is a really cool thing that you don't necessarily get to see every day. Also, bizarrely, I always see, like, just random blocks which are not lit properly like this, because it just doesn't expect to light that way, and I think that's really cool. So, yeah, basically, this thing looks entirely different, and it's a good, basis for an interesting world. But also, raiding the temple is entirely different, because instead of floating down to it, you have to break your way up. You have to kind of mine your way through this, up and up and up and up, like make a little staircase, and, that's entirely different. But once you get to the actual thing itself, it's a very different experience, because the whole thing is not underwater. It is an actual maze that you can explore better, and I think this is really cool if you want to actually, see the inside of an ocean monument without the water there, because it allows you to get an idea of what's through where. So we walk through it, and it's like, this leads to here, which leads to nowhere, except we break through the wall, and it does. And also, it's really interesting because it's above, water. There's no water here, which means mobs like the zombie will spawn instead of guardians. So the elder guardians, which are still bouncing away around, by the way, which looks entirely hilarious if you ask me, they're protected by stuff like skeletons, creepers, endermen, and it means they're kind of difficult to fight because they do a lot of damage in, knockback to you. They don't really fire their lasers too much at you, but, they'll still be trying to fire lasers, they'll still be trying to spike you, and there'll be all these mobs to help them. So very, very interesting, different experience, kind of cool if you ask me, and all three of them are here because all three, Elder Guardians will generate regardless of the water level, which means if we go to the top here, which I think is just up here, we go to the top, we'll be able to find the second one here. Again, take down this one too. And then you'll also be able to find the one over here if we just go into this little corner. And boom, 3 Elder Guardians, all protected by varying amounts of mobs. In this case, it doesn't look like any. And I just think that's a really interesting, little bizarre quirk about the, the ocean monuments. They seem to generate regardless of the water level. And it means you can find these guys bouncing around forever, which arguably makes them harder to target because, this guy firing lasers is going to be a lot more scary because he can just bounce above blocks you get in the way. So, yeah, this is the first challenge I recommend. It's kind of just a fun thing to do once. Obviously, there's not many long-term survival prospects because, like I mentioned, it's kind of like the world has gone, just been destroyed. But this has the really cool benefit of usually being able to find several, ocean monuments per world. About 3 or 4 is the average. I guess if you get really lucky, you might find 4 or 5, and that's a nice little thing if you ask me. So this one's going to be the same. But interesting enough, they all have, kind of different kind of pathways. So if you want to see what all of them can look like, so we'll be like, so where does this lead today? And see up there. Then you get to actually check that out with this little thing. So, this is a very interesting way to get around the thing. And it's something you don't usually get the opportunity to do so much. So if you want to check out an ocean monument and see the layout so you can get better at it, that's what this is great for right here. So let's move on to the second fun custom Superflat because I'm sure I could show you another ocean monument, but I'm sure you get the idea after 2. They all look amazing. They all have fun things to do with them, and they also have a lot of cool blocks you can turn into a house. But let's back out there and let's show you the other fun one, which is kind of a more basic fun, but it's still very, very enjoyable to me. I had a lot of fun playing around with it because if you go to customize Superflat again. And if that's not your thing, if survival and doing all that sort of stuff isn't your thing, then you can go to Superflat. You can decide, let's get rid of this and let's turn this into slime blocks. So if you just have a layer full of slime blocks, 1, it makes the world look hilarious. But 2, if we just let's just have Savannah, for instance. 2, what it actually means is if we do this now. So yep, that's fine. Don't need ocean monuments anyway. If we actually do this with just slime blocks, now whenever we go into the world, so again going creative, when we actually hop into the world, everything's gonna be slime. It looks amazing, but we can jump on everything, and if we fall off something, everything is bouncy. And you might think, why does everything need to be bouncy? What can you actually do with that? But there's actually quite a few things you can do with it. So first of all, let's talk about, so let's go up here like this. Let's talk about what you can do if you have your own block. Also, wait, one thing worth mentioning is the slime blocks, which spawn here. It's hilarious to me because they're all bouncing on slimes, and they, because they have the same thing like me, where it's bouncing, 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 bouncing. They're always jumping and just kind of constantly in the air, and it's kind of funny. But one thing you can actually do is you can decide, I just want to see some stuff bounce. So if you want to, make a big tower and then go up on that, you can be like, I really like it when I spawn creepers. How about we spawn a bunch of creepers here and we see what happens? So, for instance, you can go like that. And it's just the most enjoyable thing in the world to me, to see all the creepers just bouncing up on nothing. I know you can kind of do this in a regular creature world, but just look at them, they're just bouncing creepers. And the more fun thing to me, at the very least, and you can totally make a real map based around this, is the fact that Guardians are a real risk on this thing. So if you want to make a really interesting adventure map or custom map thing, think about the fun that we have with this, because Guardians will bounce themselves up as well as getting the bounce. So they bounce higher and higher and higher and higher, because their spikes making them go out like that. And you can see Guardians become these super dangerous mobs that you have to get the timing just right to hit. You have to go like this, and then get them over and over again. And I think that's a really interesting idea for fighting a mob, because Guardians are meant to be this underwater theme that get you by running away and then shooting at you, running away, shooting at you. But in this circumstance, they're just bouncing around. They're they're clearly not comfortable, but they're having a lot of fun. And to me, that's absolutely hilarious. So let's place down another one so you can see that it's going to be all the Guardians. I think there's a lot of fun just if you want to be like, I'm going to go into survival, I'm going to get a sword out, and I'm just going to hit them. There's a lot of fun to be had with this concept, because bouncing Guardians is hilarious to me. If you want to make any mobs bounce, you can put spawners up there and make them do that. And I think just in general, an entire world made out of slimes, it's not a practical thing you can do, and have, a real survival in. But if you want to have a little bit of fun and creative, there's no more fun than making everything bounce up and down. And also, it just means you can really test any bounce-based concepts. You can be like, oh, well, I want to see what happens when you go to the top of the world and fall, which, by the way, I happen to know. There's a maximum like bounce you get, like there's diminishing returns. So even if we go to the very top we get to, it's not going to do too much. But yeah, that's I'll solve the question for you because we'll pull out a map and I'll show you exactly how high you can go and how high you bounce for that. But yeah, hope you did all enjoy this video. If you did like it, I'd very much appreciate a like on it to let me know. It helps out the channel a lot and lets me know you do like it. Share it if you really liked it, and subscribe if you're new around here. I make videos like this every single day on my channel, and if subscribed, you'll see them daily on your homepage. I'd love to know which of these Superflats, if you intend to use either of them, you're going to use them for, because it is quite an interesting thing. Also, we've gone above the max build limit now. I think you can go up to Y512 in creative, and then we'll fall from there, and that'll be an interesting thing. But yeah, I'd love to know which of these you prefer more, because a lot of my favorite Superflats are ones which I haven't really tried in a while, like Sky Village, for instance, where it's just sand and villages. I haven't tried the Nuclear Wasteland, but, is one of these better than those for you? Or do you still think, the classics, the ones I've gone over in my top 5 Superflat videos, do you think that sort of stuff is still the best? That's what I'd love to know from you in the comments. But yeah, we are here now, Wi-Fi 11, just, well, I guess 512's the max, but my head's there. Let's drop down, which, by the way, there's the sun down there, or maybe it's the moon, whatever it is. Let's drop down, let's show you just how high we bounce. So, just in case you have always been curious as to what happens here, you fall faster and faster and faster and faster until eventually you bounce. But unlike you might expect to go like 200 blocks in the sky, there is a cap at like 60 blocks, which is a shame, but it's still pretty cool to jump 60 blocks in the sky. So yeah, hope you did all enjoy the video. I think I've said everything, so I'll see you all in the next one. Have a nice day, everybody, and goodbye.